Hi, my name is Lauren, the artist behind Bowman Studios. Today, I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step lesson on how to create a dog toy, specifically a tug toy that your furry friend is sure to love. So the first step to creating your toy is to grab all the materials needed. So first, we'll need to grab our tennis ball, which is pre-cut for your convenience on both sides. The next step is choosing the colors for your dog toy, and I have some examples here. So the first one, I used a gray and a burgundy. For the second, we have the blue and pink with the attached tennis ball. And lastly, I used just a bunch of crazy colors here. I do recommend 3 colors for max just to give it a cleaner look, but it is really up to you what colors you decide on. All right, now selecting my colors, and I chose this light aqua blue as well as a brown. So what you want to do is with your long strands, and you should have 9 of them at this point, you want to separate them into groups of 3, and these 3 strands will act as one braid. So I chose to do one brown braid, a secondary brown braid, as well as a light aqua blue braid, and use these 2 ties as aqua blue as well. These 2 ties will act as your ties on the end to tie your 3 braids together. The next step will be to begin your braiding process. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use 3 different colors so you can easily see what strand goes where and exactly what I'm doing. For the next step, what you want to do is line up all 3 pieces of your material so the ends come together. Take 2 fingers and you're going to wrap the ends around your finger. You want to leave maybe 2 or 3 inches at the very end just to have that little shag portion. So once you take it, you want to take your end, go underneath the portion that you wrapped around your fingers. So you're just going to take it, shove it under all 3 strands. Again, 2 fingers, wrap it around. You've got your ends, take it underneath. And then once you have that done, you will just secure your knot. Another thing I did want to mention, fabric does kind of tangle up, especially with your big long strands like this. So what you want to do as you braid, you want to make sure you're running your hands along the sides each time and just making sure that no knots. So the next part of the process is a braiding process. If you ever braided hair, it's practically the same. But if you don't know how to braid, no worries. It's really easy and I can teach you in just a couple seconds. So what you want to do, you have your 3 braids. Start with an outside braid and you want to bring it to the middle. So just a little bit over top of your middle braid. And then the outside braid will become the middle braid. You just want to do the same thing again. Outside to the inside. We just did the right one, so let's do the left one next. So left one, inside. Right one goes over top and inside. Left one goes over top and inside. This right one will now go over top and inside. The left one, over top and inside. And when you do this, you want to keep your braid pretty tight. The tighter you can make your braid, the harder it'll be for the dogs to tear it up. And you can. So when you want to stop braiding is when you have about the same amount of width on this side as you do on this side. So you're probably going to want to do about like 2 to 3 inches. I left probably a good 2 inches here. So you just want to tie it off the same way. You take your 2 fingers, just wrap it around, and you want to take the rope section as well as this piece. And it doesn't have to be specific. You can cut off the ends if you don't like the way it looks. We just want to take all of those frayed ends again. Take them, 2 fingers, wrap them around. All 3 of your ends will go underneath your rope. You just want to push them under. Make sure 1, 2, 3, they're all under there. And then you want to take it and pull. And now what you want to do is repeat that same process again and again. So we're going to, in the end, you're going to have 3 ropes. And again, I'm going back to my original rope. So I have 1 brown, 2 brown, which is the 2 that I laid out with my ropes of 3. So this is actually 6 of your pieces. And then here's the other 3 with my blue. So we have our 3 ropes here. You can see 1, 2, 3 knots. And we have our smaller piece that we grabbed at the beginning. And at this point, you should have 2 of these. So what we want to do is just basically just tie this piece around it to make a knot. And it will join the 3 together. And pull it tight, but again, you don't want to stretch the fabric. We're going to flip it over. Just do the same thing. We're going to create another knot. Same process, just a simple knot with that same thread of fabric. And you want to tighten it. Flip it over again. And do the exact same thing again. And tighten. And you want to keep going back and forth until you have a pretty good hold on these. I would recommend maybe like 4 or 5 times. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Just to make sure that it's nice and tight. The tighter you can make these knots, the harder it's going to be, again, for your dog to tear up the toy. So at this point, your toy should look like this. You've got them all knotted, and they're still free on this end. And now it's time to add the tennis ball. What I would recommend is add the tennis ball on the middle strands. That way when we go to braid them all together, the tennis ball is nice and secure in the middle. So I chose my blue strand as my middle strand, and that's where I'm going to add my tennis ball. So there's a slit on each side, and they're opposite sides. So 1 here, 1 here. You want to take your strands and take it, and you want to push it right in there with your thumb. And you're going to probably have to do it a couple times to really get it in there. And you're just going to keep pushing it into the slit. Once it's pushed into the slit, come to the other side, and you want to take your hand and grab it out. So when you put your thumb in, you should feel where the end is at. And just start taking it out. And since you have braided this rope, it is pretty strong. And you can choose where you want to put your tennis ball. If you want to put it on the end where your dog can grab the tennis ball from the end as you pull from the opposite side, you absolutely can. Or if you want to position it more in the middle, you can as well. It's really personal preference. For this example, I'm going to put it all the way on the end. That way, when the dog grabs the tennis ball, the dog can hold onto the tennis ball where I, as the owner, can grab this side and we can really pull and tug on. And now at this point, here's what it should look like. So you got one end tied, all 3 of your strands. You've got the tennis ball wherever you chose to position it. So now we're going to repeat the same process as we did with our little strands, but we're going to do it with our larger strands now. We're going to do a braiding process. So I want my blue strand to be in the middle, and I'm just going to repeat the braiding process. So what we want to do, we have our 3 strands, and I want my blue in the middle. So I'm just going to position it so it'll be right here in the middle. Outer, you want to go over, outer, over. You want to make sure that you're running your hand along the length of the rope each time. So outer, over, my hand disappears, I'm running it along the length of the rope. Over, I take that same thing, because as you can see, as you do this, it creates an overlap here. So you just want to make sure you run your hand along the length of that rope, and it's going to get rid of any overlap or tangling that can happen. You just want to repeat this all the way down the rope until you get to the tennis ball portion, which once I get to that point, I'll show you what to do. All right, so at this point, I'm braided pretty close to where my tennis ball is. You can see I've got maybe an inch between my braids and the tennis ball. So what I want to do is braid as close as I can. So just keep braiding, and you're just going to have to kind of balance over that tennis ball with your braids. The outside over. This side now. Here. And so now I'm right up to the tennis ball portion, basically. So what I want to do is get that tennis ball in the middle. So I'm actually going to switch these two and just pop it over top. That way, it's in the middle. So at this point, your braid should look like this. You're as closely braided to the tennis ball, whether you chose the middle or close to the end like I did. We've got it. So you want to take both of your brown pieces, run them down the same side. We have this blue piece in the middle, which we're going to bring over one of our brown pieces. It doesn't matter which one at this point because we're going to start a new braid, but make sure you bring it over because we're going to start securing it to the tennis ball. So we've got our blue piece. We're going to go over. Our brown piece on this side is now in the middle. We're going to go in. This one over. This one in. This one over. This one in. Over. And in. And over. And in. Until we complete the braid all the way down to our 3 knots at the end. Once you reach those 3 knots at the end, that's where you want to stop. So for the next step, we only have one more piece of fabric left, and it's our other little smaller piece. We want to take the fabric just like we did at the beginning to secure them with our 3 knots. We're going to do the same thing. So we have our 3 knots. We want to take our fabric and just do a regular knot. Right. And then we're going to tie it again pretty tight, just as tight as we can. Flip it over. Again, tie another knot. And like I was explaining, you want to do this maybe 4 or 5 times. So this will be one time on each side. We're going to flip it over again. Make our other knot. Just tie it. Flip it over again. We have the knot. And then you want to do this at least 2 more times. So once you finish tying the ends, your toy should look something like this. Now if you see, some of them are really long where I've got shorter ends. This side is pretty much the same. This is the first side that we did, so everything's pretty uniform here. But we do have some longer sides here. So what I'm going to do is just cut it with some scissors, just clean it up a little bit. So for the last step, just cleaning up the ends. I have some really long ends, some really short ends. So I just kind of want them to look uniform just for my own personal preference. But it's really up to you how you want to do this. So I'm just going to take my scissors. Some of these longer ends, I'm just going to kind of chop them off. And then once you get to the point that you're happy with how the ends look on both sides, then you're good to start playing with your tug toy. Your dog can grab it, you can grab it, they can have a great time with it. Now once you clean up the ends, you're happy with it, you're good to go. You got your finished tug toy.